Hey y'all, it's Kim. So I'm gonna try to get through this document and then the other one that's 10 pages. Now this is the JFK files, part 16. So page 16 of the JFK files on the National Archives. Um, some of this looks like it's kind of bled into this page, but it looks like Mr. J. Edgar Hoover, Director, Federal Bureau of Investigation, U.S. Department of Justice, Washington, D.C. It says, Dear Mr. Hoover, with reference to your letter of 11th of June, 1947, requesting information on policy matters discussed by Foster and certain members of the Central Committee of the French Communist Party in Paris, I should like to summarize the action taken by this organization on Foster's trip. And that's Foster Dulles, I'm sure. John Foster Dulles. All stations on Foster's itinerary were alerted during the British Empire Conference, with emphasis placed upon Foster's contacts and the content of his conversations with foreign communist officials at Paris, Belgrade, and Prague. The first reaction from Paris reported Foster's meeting with Thors, maybe, and Duck Duke, I can't tell, on 7th of March, and a planned meeting for the next day with other members of the Central Committee. This information was distributed to you in DB 3658 on 4th of April 1947. No adequate follow-up on this original report was subsequently produced, a fact to be accounted for primarily by the hesitation of the Surreto Nationale for political reasons to give Foster's visit adequate investigative attention, as reported to you in whatever 4777 of 1st of July 1947. Information on the policy matters discussed at this meeting, however, was included in a report from MI6, Section 5, in May, copied and closed herewith. Although the source of this report did not know precisely what happened at this meeting because great secrecy was observed, he mentioned several specific topics allegedly under discussion, and this report was not forwarded to you since it was something. The report was handed directly to your London representative by the British. And then this was microfilmed May 6th of 1955. Maybe a date here is 8th of December 1952. And then these are the codes by hand to director 1st of August 1947. Okay, the attention of our Paris station has been directed to the actual conversations that took place in the Paris meeting, and there remains a possibility that verification or explanation of the MI6 report will be obtained. Uh, Additional information will, of course, be transmitted to you immediately upon its receipt. Sincerely, and then enclosure. So you don't know who that's actually from. And then country, Italy, Yugoslavia, France, Great Britain, and USA. Subject William Zebulon Foster. Oh, origin is London. Date of info as stated, and then date May 15th, 1947. I thought it was John Foster Dulles, excuse me. So it was actually William Zebulon Foster. They have, anyway, F. Foster Dulles from CIA. It says on basically 315 of 47, our representative in Rome reported that Foster had arrived there on 314 of 47 for a stay for a few days. On 1-4 or 4-1 of 47, since they do it backwards, we heard from Belgrade that something to local, according to local press reports of 5 or 325 of 47, Foster had left Yugoslavia on 3/24 of 47. No details were given regarding his destination, but the press report mentioned that he had been accompanied by Tim Buck, leader of the Labour Progressive Party of Canada. As reported, uh, dated a report dated 4/1 of 47 from Paris stated that after the British Communist Party Congress in London, several important delegates had arrived in Paris, among whom were William Z. Foster, Tim Buck, Lahat, chief of the Belgian Communist Party, who had not been in London and who arrived direct from Brussels, and Harry Pollitt, I guess. And then at the same time, several communist delegates who had been presented at the WIDF Congress in Prague had also arrived in Paris, including Nina Popova, the USSR delegate, as well as delegates from Greece, Brazil, Cuba, and the Vietnam. Our source, however, does not know names of any except those mentioned in several meetings were held at the headquarters of the Central Committee of the French Communist Party at 44 Rue Le Pelletier. At one of these meetings, the following were known to have been present: William Foster, Tim Buck, Dolores Beira, something like that. Nina Popova, Maurice Flores, Torres, something like that. Andrew Hardy, maybe. Okay. Jock, excuse me. Buklos, Avec Kachin. Okay, some of these names are hard to read. Berlioz, Trachum, or something like that. And blah, blah, blah. This. Robert Pettit and George Williams. And then Mikolaev, something like that. And then Dominican delegate, whatever. I can't tell what those names are. Okay. And then John Pittman, Paris correspondent of the American Daily Worker, had acted as interpreter. Although our source does not know much of what happened at this meeting because great secrecy was observed, he states that the meeting was concerned with uniting of world democratic forces against international reaction. In this connection, the French communist leaders are said to have very much regretted the difficulty of bringing about the union between the American Federation of Labor and the Congress of Industrial Organizations in the United States, or the USA. Jacques Duclos made a special report emphasizing that this was one of the most important tasks to be carried out by the communists within the CIO. Besides the above, the question of Greece and Turkey was discussed, notably the question of boycotting of war materials sent to those countries. Finally, the different speakers spoke of the necessity of defending the USSR by all possible means. Andrew Marty is said to have especially dealt with the question of labor in the colonies, emphasizing the necessity of bringing about unity of action among the blacks throughout the African continent, e.g. in France, or French, British, and Belgian possessions. The above, according to our source, were the principal points which had been studied during the various meetings of communist chiefs in Paris, and we understand that all other details about Foster's arrival and departure from this country have already been passed to you by MI5. So you have that document. I think I want to stop this one here and then start another one for the 10-page one because it's got a bunch of names. We'll see if I can get through it without screwing them up. But anyway, I'm going to stop this and then I'll start the other ones shortly. Anyway, see y'all in a minute. Bye.